Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for all for coming to this unprecedented joint press conference at the local lodge FOP. It's incredible to see so much support and so many people come out to support law enforcement, especially our own folks who are packing the back of the building here. My name is Casey Slaughter, CASEYSLAUGHTER, and I'm the president of the Kansas State Fraternal Order of Police. Today with me also speaking is going to be Dave Inkelar. He'll talk with you shortly. He's the president of the local lodge, Wichita Lodge 5 FOP. I'm also going to be recognizing Casey Blodgett, who is the national trustee for Kansas. He'll be speaking with you today. And then we have a host of dignitaries that I do want to recognize their support today. Starting off with Speaker of the House, Dan Hawkins, who's here today. Thank you for coming, Mr. Speaker. President Ty Masterson sends his regards. He could not be here due to a death in the family, but he wanted me to tell you he would have been here and that both chamber leadership does support our cause. Representative Patrick Penn is here. Representative Leah Howell is here. Representative Susan Estes. Representative Brian Bergkamp. Representative Nick Hoheisel. Representative Brenda Landwehr. Senator Renee Erickson. Senator Chase Blasey. Representative Carl Mon, and Representative Stephen Owens. Thank you so much for your support of law enforcement, and thank you for being here. The folks who are local, as in the commissioners who are here, President Inkelar is going to recognize them when it's his turn to speak. I also want to recognize a very special guest that we have, and that is National FOP Secretary Jimmy Holderfield, who is here in the building today, and he flew in just for this press conference. So thank you, Jimmy Holderfield, for coming in to support us. We're here today to shed some light on a recent double-sided mailer that was sent out to the citizens of Wichita. It's misleading. It falsely claims that law enforcement supports Mayor Brandon Whipple and that he in turn supports us. Neither is true, and I want to make it very clear, we do not support Brandon Whipple, despite what he might tell you. We also want to educate the public and further denounce his actions over the course of the last 4 years of his term in office. Today we'll be discussing Mayor Whipple's unethical behavior, his use of his position for personal gain on multiple occasions, his lies and his misleading statements, his reckless public statements, his unwillingness to apologize to the officer ever despite what he would tell you, his undermining and questioning the credibility of law enforcement in general, all leading to the decimation of morale within the law enforcement community in Wichita. LEO, law enforcement, has enough problems policing our community and gaining the public trust. Our kids pay attention to us as role models, and they expect us to act like the role models that they are. It's no wonder why the Roller City incident occurred. You have, in that case, someone disrespecting law enforcement, someone actively attacking law enforcement. Look no further than Mayor Whipple, who did exactly the same thing at the neighborhood cleanup. He didn't comply, he didn't follow directions, he didn't apologize, and then he attacked the officer verbally and publicly for what the officer was doing just to do his job. Instead, he lied and he misled in an attempt to cover his own unethical behavior. This, folks, is the definition of misleadership, and FOP is not going to put up with it anymore. Wichita deserves a better mayor. The women and men of the Wichita FOP deserve a better mayor. But hey, don't just take my word for it, folks. Let's listen to the man himself on KNSS about 1 year ago today, on October 17th, 2022. You heard it there. That's something I think we can all agree on. We deserve a better mayor. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lodge 5 President Dave Inkelar, who's going to have some words of wisdom. President Inkelar.
Hi, I'm the local president, David Inkelar, D-A-V-I-D, Inkelar, I-N-K-E-L-A-A-R. I am the president of Lodge 5, the local police department, or the local union that represents the men and women of the Wichita Police Department. So I want to reiterate what President Slaughter said. We have the pulse of the men and women of the Wichita Police Department, and we do not support Mayor Whipple as the next mayor. He has been untruthful with us, has promised us the world. When he first came to the union, he told us that he would get us 200 more officers. That didn't happen. We had to walk him back down because we knew 200 was a large number that he couldn't produce, and then he promised 100 officers. Under his tenure as mayor, he has lowered morale. He's been the driving force for a toxic relationship with the men and women of the Wichita Police Department, and we are now 110 commissioned personnel down on the Wichita Police Department. So to say that he supports law enforcement is not correct. I'm going to address his statements in regards to that he has posted, where he says that he has added $30 million to the police budget. I want to make it clear that was already in the works. That was in the works when the staffing study was done prior to him being mayor, but he has taken credit for that. He has 1 vote out of 7, and just like he normally does, he takes responsibility for something he had nothing to do with. So we'll go ahead and get into this and talk about unethical behavior that occurred in regards to the trash dump incident. So go ahead, Hans.
That's the point. Not that I need to go to the back of the line, is that this guy tried to kick me out of what we appropriate for neighborhood cleanups.
You guys heard it. Appropriate. What does that mean to you? He knows good and well what the rules are in regards to going to the neighborhood cleanup. He knows that he is not allowed to be here. He knows that it's unethical for him to dump stuff from a rental to this location, but yet he still goes. And to say, I'm the mayor, that just shows you what he thinks of himself in relation to other civilians, that he wants to throw that and intimidate the officer during this time. Go ahead, Hans. Oh, sorry. Go back one. The rules for the cleanup, if you look at this, there's categories. There's very low income, low to moderate income, moderate, and high. By the standards set forth for the cleanup, he's out of the pay bracket. He makes over $100,000. He is not allowed to dump his stuff, regardless if it was from his own home or if it was from a rental property. But yet he chose to violate those rules. He chose to come to this to dump his stuff from a rental property. And not to mention, he doesn't live in District 4. He's outside the district where the cleanup occurred. Then later on, when he confronts the officer during this thing, he will say it's the mayor, and then he will contact the city manager, and then threaten to contact the chief of police, trying to figure. He didn't even know who the chief of police was at the time, and I would hope that a mayor of the city this large, he would know who the chief of police is. If he is so dedicated to police, you would think he would know who the chief of police at the time. That was done to intimidate. That was done to drive fear into the officer so that he would back down to allow him to do this stuff. During this time, he will also say to the mayor, to the city manager, that he was doing it for a rental property cleanup. Later on, he will tell the employee that's out there that he tells the managers for a rental property, and then he will go later on to say that it was for his own property, being, in my opinion, being extremely untruthful about what had occurred during that time. He's belittling, he is untruthful during this deal, but he will hold on to that just like he always does. He drives his agenda, and he will wreck whatever's in front of him in regards to that. Go ahead, Hans.
This is at the machinist hall. There's one of the neighborhood cleanups. I got a bunch of stuff from one of my rentals coming through. I noticed that this guy didn't know who I was and tried asking me questions. And then also I just wanted to see how he would talk to citizens. And this is how we're being treated.
He doesn't know who I am. Doesn't matter. This is a community event. He's just a citizen of Wichita. He represents the people of Wichita. He is no better than any other citizen within the city of Wichita. He represents. To say he doesn't know who I am doesn't matter. Go ahead on. Mayor Whipple several times says that he apologized. I can tell you right now, he has never apologized to the officer involved in this. And I checked with him to ensure that that was true. And he assures me Mayor Whipple has never contacted in regards to that. He deflects, which is his trademark thing to do, deflects every time. And for him to say that he has apologized is untruthful. He has never contacted the officer, nor has he contacted the FOP to have a meeting between the officer and him so that he can apologize. Mayor Whipple will say, I have to admit, if this didn't all blow up, I would have never known that the officer was not only selective when using his body camera, and what I believe is a violation of our policy, but also walked around lying and misleading potential witnesses in an attempt to cover his back. I wouldn't have believed it, but there's a silver lining in this embarrassing situation is that I learned a lot. He further tries to degrade the officer and makes excuses for his actions. He can't even hold himself accountable for what he's done. And then he tries to belittle the officer, which will continue, where he will try to deflect his responsibility in regards to the incident. Go ahead on. Then we go forward to the ethics violation. This is his own ethics policy, his own group that he wanted to ensure that there was no ethical issues that are occurring in City Hall. And he's the first person to violate it. The mayor going in the wrong entrance. We knew that. He says that he thought it was a wreck and he came around demanding and wouldn't go to the back, but he still wanted to dump his trash from his rental. Refusing to turn around to get in line or leave. Contacting the manager during the encounter with the police officer stating multiple times that the officer did not know who I was. If I did that as a Wichita police officer, I would be in trouble, in serious trouble in regards to making those statements. But he deflects. Not a big deal to him, it's just a slap on the wrist. But the point that we're bringing to you is he was untruthful during this incident, violated his own ethics for personal gain to dump trash from his rental. But yet he did it. Wichita deserves a better mayor. Wichita deserves a mayor who represents, supports the Wichita Police Department and the men and women who come out here to protect you every day and night in regards to public safety. I can never be so more proud of the members of the Wichita Police Department who sacrifice time with them, their family, their friends, to ensure that you sleep safely at night. We are running ragged out here trying to protect you. Citizens are having to wait long periods of time to have officer response. And it's no fault of the officer in regards to that. It is the fault of our mayor continuing to have a toxic relationship and our city not supporting the officers. Go ahead, on. Reckless words. Go ahead, you did that.
When I saw a grown, trained, armed man with 100 pounds on that kid. Posture.
Reckless. That's all I can say. Reckless. To incite these words, knowing that this is going to cause an uproar in the community before having the facts of what occurred. He went publicly to say that the officer was trying to deliver the kill punch when it's absolutely not true. That officer, no violations regards to use of force. He was well within the guidelines of policy of the Wichita Police Department, but yet your mayor comes up here to try to incite anger and try to confuse everybody of what has occurred instead of finding out what occurred, supporting the officers, and allowing the investigation to occur.
Posture up.
and try to kill him with a punch like that. I know that this could have been a lot worse.
So, to wrap it up, we deserve a better mayor. We deserve somebody who supports the men and women of the Wichita Police Department to ensure your safety. Mayor Whipple is not that. Like I said, we are 110 commission personnel down, despite, or if you guys know that, I believe it was KWCH 12, who did a story in regards to him having police officers do security at his residence. Despite the scarce police resources, he still demanded security on his house and taking away police officers from the rest of the community. He did that. And we did it for weeks in regards to that. And that happened on multiple occasions. Wichita deserves a better mayor.
All right, I'd like to recognize Kansas National Trustee Casey Blodgett. I'd like to give a few words.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Casey Blodgett. It's initials KC, the last name Blodgett. I'm out here only to represent and to support the men and women of the Wichita Lodge 5 Fraternal Order Police, but also the 4,300 members of the Fraternal Order Police across the great state of Kansas. These men and women put on their uniform every day to go out and provide security and safety for all citizens of the community. However, it appears that Mayor Whipple has decided that he is above all of those citizens, that he has placed himself there. The incident we've heard about today is where there was a neighborhood cleanup for low to moderate income families. And the mayor decided to go in the exit instead of having to wait in line like everybody else. The mayor was stopped by a on-duty police officer and decided that the on-duty officer should be disciplined. He then calls the city manager and demands that officer be disciplined for his actions. He even went as far as to say that the officer yelled and screamed at him. This was denounced by the officer's body camera. The officer never yelled or screamed at the mayor. The mayor's behavior led to a substantial complaint, which was brought before his own ethics advisory board. All 4 members of that committee decided that the mayor was wrong and directed the mayor to attend ethics training. At a time when morale is very low across this great country, any elected official, and I'm saying any elected official, should realize the FOP will come out strongly against them if they engage in this type of conduct. Undermining and discrediting law enforcement officers without cause is just as damaging as defunding the police movement. We have observed what this has done in many of our great cities in the United States. I support the men and women of Wichita Fraternal Order of Police who do not, and I emphasize, do not support the re-election of Mayor Whipple. Please support all the citizens of Wichita. Please support these men and women. They go to work every day to keep your community safe. God bless them all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Casey. Now I'd like to bring up National Secretary of the Fraternal Order of Police, Jimmy Holderfield. Secretary Holderfield, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. You know, it's great to be in Kansas. I just wish I wasn't here for this reason. I want to thank Casey, you and Casey, and all the other brothers and sisters of Wichita Lodge Number 5. I'm Jimmy Holderfield, that's Jimmy, last name Holderfield, Holderfield, and I am the Secretary of the National Fraternal Order of Police. I'm here on behalf of our 373,000 members that stand in unity, in solidarity with our brothers and sisters here with Wichita. You know, the limited facts that I understand on this case or this particular incident was on September the 24th, around 3:00 p.m., there was a community cleanup going on. And the officers were there on assignment doing their job, doing their responsibility. And what was their primary responsibility? The safety and security of the citizens there, to make sure that everything flowed properly and within the confines of that particular event. But it's obvious to me there's three standards in Wichita. There's one standard that's set for the police. There's another standard that's set for the community. And then there's a third standard, which is set for Mayor Whipple. You know, by cutting line, dumping commercial trash, and intimidating the officer, he demonstrated that he is self-serving, has a sense of entitlement, and is a bully. And I think that these negative traits, we will all agree, is everything that every person in this room detests and fights against. Now, I commend the community for organizing the neighborhood cleanup. You know, there's a direct correlation between neighborhood blight and crime. Citizens that have a clean and litter-free neighborhood are more connected and proud. They take ownership, crime goes down. And there's many studies on these particular projects, which I have been involved in my 35-year career as a professional law enforcement officer. And I've been involved with many such cleanup events in my own city. But I'm going to tell you, from what has been described, the dumping of trash from a rental property, commercial, is a third-degree felony in my state. And legislators, I can give you the statute. If you look at Florida Statute 403.413, it spells it out, and there's different amounts, but it is not right for the community for someone to take advantage of the free dump service because they're the ones deriving income off of the commercial property. If you did that, you would have to, what you should be doing is buying a dumpster to pay your own dump fees versus taking advantage of a citizen tax dollar funded event, or at least that's my opinion. Instead of Mayor Whipple admitting his shortcomings, instead of him de-escalating the situation where the officer was simply providing security and order to the community, he doubled down and made accusations and threats. Maybe if he interacted with the Wichita police officers, the various city employees, and the community to get to know him a little better, these type of negative events wouldn't happen again. Maybe the officers would recognize him more readily, and maybe he would know who the police chief is. This whole incident could have been avoided if Mayor Whipple had simply followed the rules. If that's too much to expect, is that too much to expect, especially from a mayor? This is not the way to foster community relations and build trust, which runs both ways. I wish my brothers and sisters in this great community the best, and I appreciate you taking the opportunity or giving me the opportunity to share a few words with you. Thank you.
apologize, my phone was going on up here. I want to thank the local business community that has showed up in support of the men and women of the Wichita Police Department. Also want to thank the Crime Commission that is here. We truly appreciate that. I also want to thank David Dennis, County Commissioner David Dennis, County Commissioner Ryan Beatty, and County Commissioner Jim Howell. I know County Commissioner Pete Metzner wishes he could be here, but he was not able to attend. I want to personally thank everybody here for your support for the Wichita Police Department officers.
So that's going to conclude our formal press presentation, or we'll take questions from the media, if there are any.
So since this is going back to that mailer, just what specifically did you find that was misleading about that mailer from the Neighborhood Department?
It leads you to believe that there is support from the police for Mayor Whipple, which there is not. And so it misleads you to believe that public safety not only is a fire, but by the police, and the police do not support Mayor Whipple.
I'll speak to that as well. You know, by looking at this obviously insinuates right here, as a bunch of us are standing at attention to Mayor Whipple, who's prominently displayed here, that we support this guy. We don't. It's very clear we don't. We've said we don't. We're not going to in the future. And there's a multitude of different things on here. I can tell you personally, this right here, the fact that he is claiming responsibility for the catalytic converter law that I personally helped write, that another detective that's in this room currently helped testify to, and then we ultimately went up to the legislature and got the bill passed in both chambers, and then to a ceremonial signing ceremony, to which Mayor Whipple showed up unannounced, uninvited, and inserted himself into our picture, and then grabbed a copy of the bill that was supposed to go to one of us and ran out the door and took a picture of himself with it. I find that ridiculous and offensive.
I agree. What other questions you guys got? Oh, John?
There's a graphic in the packet and on here of a check, a voided check. Can you explain that?
So that is the check that Mayor Whipple, we'll get that up here. This is the check that Mayor Whipple sent to the neighborhood associations, $1,500. And you're right, I should ask this, but is that hush money or is he buying signs? We don't know, but we know that he sent $1,500 to this neighborhood association in regards to all the stuff that occurred in regards to this making the media. Yes, sir.
What is the last slide about? Just like, there's an image on there that looks like Mayor Whipple on the left. What is that?
So I can explain this. The last slide is actually during the council meeting where they were talking about the ethics policy. And at the end of it, there was a little spat between councilmen in a very unprofessional manner. Mayor Whipple throws the papers at Councilman Blueball right over the top of the partition. Is this the guy you want to be your mayor? I don't think so.
Any other questions?
So that, the income brackets thing, it's my understanding that wasn't passed until after this had all occurred already. And the Ethics Advisory Board said he could be there, but his actions are what were a violation of the policy.
Sure. But it was under our belief that it was for lower to moderate income classes for the cleanup. Yes, sir.
How much authority does Mayor Whipple have over the police department?
It depends. He wants to have more, but it depends who you ask. I mean, he has one vote on the council. So.
The negotiation, I know the city recently reopened some negotiations with the local lodge. Are those still ongoing, or have they completed? What's the status on that? Has Whipple been involved in that at all?
As far as I know, he's not been involved in it. It's still ongoing. It's very, very early chance.
I guess too, on the staffing side of things too, with the 110 down, what have you seen done by the city to address that shortage?
Well, I can tell you, we've seen nothing from Mayor Whipple, but we're working on the wages. I mean, we've had recruiters go to colleges here in Kansas, and they're sitting at a table with other police departments that make more money, and we don't get a look. And so we're gonna have to increase the wages, because we have fallen so far behind under Mayor Whipple. Anything else? All right, I want to thank everybody for being here. In case you got anything.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that some of us will be around, for if you wanna have any, one-on-one interviews. But, this concludes our formal presentation and our Q&A. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate everybody's support in this room.